Glass of tea.
Mm-hmm.
So what up, everybody? Hello, how are y'all? North Carolina. Jack. Well, come on, girl. Hello, Chris. Good evening, everybody. Hobo with a wood there. Chip, welcome. Uh, what happens, celebrity? What? I don't get that. Hello, Trish. How are you? Well, come on up here. Come
Yeah,
on.
I was just worried that maybe you lost your cane or your walker or something.
Oh no! I went in the house and ate me some lasagna and just kind of hung out in there for a little bit. Fluffy says, Fluffy says hi. Hey, look at the camera. There you go. She's like, all right, that's enough. Come
Yes,
here,
cats
Callie.
with their
Callie,
focus
hey.
level.
Yeah, they're both in here now. I don't know. I don't think they're hungry, but they definitely want to come hang out.
Oh,
Well,
cats
hello,
are always
Fluffy.
hungry.
Well, how is everybody? Hello, Bob. I got cat hair flying around everywhere now. Good evening, Robert. GM, it's not doing terrible. It's I am, however, medicated, so that helps. It's got to the point now to where I can't go without medication. I'm going in the morning. We have an appointment with a doctor who's gonna basically, I guess, let me know what my options are and help me get this resolved. That's what I'm hoping for, anyway. Well, come here, Callie. Well, Callie wants to say hey too, so there's Callie. Hey, yep. She's like, I'm not having it, guys. I don't know what the cats are. The cats are all like all over me today for some reason. But anyway, yeah, been out here. Finally got back in the shop today, man. I tell you, I had a that nerve block Monday or whatever you want to call that, that epidural injection Monday, and I was Sunday night. I was like praying, please, after this shot, let me miraculously just get back on my feet. And of course, they tell you that it takes 48 to 72 hours for it to take effect. So I was hopingly optimistic until about Thursday, and it no change. If anything, it seems like it's getting worse. So I had to call the doctor back, and I'm like, hey, look, we got to go about this a different way. So we're going to Mara to hopefully find out what's next. So
Well, that does not sound fun, but I hope they give you a plan for some resolution on this because you've been fighting that for a while now.
yeah, I mean, up until recently, I could manage it with like OTC, like Tylenol, Advil, stuff like that. I mean, I at 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon before I went to bed, and I was good.
Mm-hmm.
But now, yeah, those do not touch it at all.
Mm.
So, did I not change my name? Oh, I didn't.
You were in a rush.
Yeah,
Well,
I was running a little bit behind.
we
Uh,
got our logos up. You can take those names off.
yeah. Well,
So
hang on just a
declutter.
second. Hang on just a second here. Let me see if I can edit name. Oh, hey,
Oh,
wait a minute. Hey, boom.
oh, look at that.
Yeah, I guess that was in an update because I didn't used to. You couldn't change it. I didn't think, but you can now.
Well, maybe they just made it
Uh,
more visible. But
yeah.
so, well, Gordon from Western Nebraska, practically Colorado. Nice to see you, and thanks for the props on the box video. That was I enjoy doing the project videos when am not too busy making things for other people or doing other videos. So glad that one's being seen well.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna do it. I mean, just unreal, unreal. Can't catch a break. I mean, I guess because we had those. Technically, that's not his last name though, so I don't know that that would necessarily apply.
Not
Um,
legally binding anyway.
yeah, no. But anyway, I don't guess my little
But
board's going to work for me today. Uh, Apparently, my board's not working. I tried to give a drum roll, but I'm guessing it's not working.
well,
Dang it.
see, it's because you cheated and you did that live stream earlier and it messed y'all up.
Well, luckily, I think if I restart my voice app, it'll start it back working. So we'll see.
Yes, I just thought it was funny. I hit publish on that video and went upstairs and on my phone comes up alert and it's Clack's live. I'm like, of course he is.
Well, no, I went to. I got up this morning. I told my wife yesterday. I was like, "Look, I've been in the house since last Saturday. I have been in the. I've been at home. All right. I left Monday, went and got that shot, and came right back. So that's 7 days without even leaving the property, and I was, I was just like, I got to do something. You know what I mean? I don't want to like go anywhere or do anything crazy, but I finally talked her into letting me, take some meds this morning, and we made a quick trip down to Lowe's, and came back and got me a little cart, which is awesome to put machines on and move them around.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it keeps me trying to pick them up and move them because right now I can't. And if I'm out here by myself and I can work on the computer, but when it comes to moving machines around, I didn't need to be fooling with them. So we decided that it was in my best interest to get me a cart so I could put the laser on it and then just move it around the shop and get it out of the way if I needed to or whatever. So I finally left and did that. And when I got back, I was still feeling, decent. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go out to the shop and at least clean up, get some trash picked up, vacuum and all that. And then that's when I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm out here. I feel pretty decent. So I'm going to go ahead and do a video because I have been, like I said, I've been bored. Man, guys, there's only so many freaking calibration cubes you can burn on a 3D printer in a day. That's all I've been doing because, I got a really nice, comfortable desk chair in there at my computer, and so I can sit in it with an ice pack and do 3D printing stuff. But I don't have a laser in the house, so that's what I've been doing for like a week. I just been sitting there tweaking with the 3D printer, trying to figure out settings, trying to get the perfect layers,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been fun. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about the flow and the speeds and heating and cooling, and I've been studying a lot on 3D printing. So I've learned a lot, but it's not the same as being able to come out here. Let me see if I got this back working. I don't guess I do. You didn't hear anything, did you?
No, I didn't.
Golly, see, doesn't let me break my stuff, man. Doesn't let me
So,
break my stuff.
well, I think we heard this earlier this week, but Russ, glad to hear that we were able to help you last week. Got your eights are back up and running. Nothing worse than having it act up on you and being weird. So glad to hear it's going.
Yeah, having a machine down is not fun, especially if it's if it's one of the ones that you use a lot, because a lot of times I'll have just a little small problem and not fun at all. I'm trying to
Yeah,
find these
I
darn
that was one of
settings here.
that was one of the things on the went back eight plus years ago when I bought my CO2 laser off eBay and such from random seller. I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of support, and it was really frustrating at that time when it just wouldn't power on, and I had to start digging into it. There's a whole number of things it could be, and it turns out to be a failed e-stop switch, which luckily I was able to replace from Amazon with parts, within a couple days. But yeah, having your machine go down and or act weird can be very frustrating when you're trying to get work done. So,
Yes.
uh, well, Sharon, I hope you're enjoying Disney in Mexico. Sounds like a fun trip, and yeah, I hope you appreciate that box and have fun with it. For anybody who's wondering, hasn't seen, I released a video today on this little box, and it's just kind of about a 3-inch square box, But the cool thing is it's got this kind of wavy lid design, which locks it in place. It's not going to fall off, but it just pops up easily, and you can actually put it on in any direction. Just rotate it around. So, kind of a nice little thing I'm using to kind of use up some offcuts and scrap pieces. This is just 1/4 inch material, and you can engrave on the top of it, put your mark on the bottom. And this one I sanded and rounded corners off of. This one I left plain. Oops. And so this one was just actually Menards 1/4 inch oak. So you can buy material from hardwood dealers or even some of the big box stores out there and make these as well. So anyway, I dropped that video today. Appreciate anybody that wants to go out and watch it and check it out. And then I do have those files available on my Etsy store. People are interested in making those for yourself. So
cool.
Did I give you enough time to fix your audio?
No, I still can't. It's still not working. I don't know what's going on with that. I really want to get it fixed though, because I feel like I'm gonna need it here in a minute. But it's just not want to cooperate. I don't know.
So
Who knows?
I don't know if you've got this stuff handy or whatnot, but Brian's asking about in-depth description or something on how you connect your rotary machine with the switcher. Tried to follow the video, but it feels like something's missing.
Well, the little module, I think I've got another one. Hang on, let me see if I got another one where I can show you. I think I've got 2 of those things, so hopefully I can demonstrate on the one that I'm not using. I just gotta find it.
Whoops. It's it's not going to be the one that you gave me, is it?
Oh, I did give you one, didn't I?
So figured I'd let you look for a little while.
That's where that went.
Here, I'll hold it up and you point to the things.
Okay, that's why I can't find it.
I'll bring it over with your steak. There you go.
Let me go take a picture of mine, and then I'll add it to the feed too. But yeah, I was wondering. I was like, I know I had 2 of those. But I'll raise my machine up here a little bit where I can take a picture. Can I show you guys?
Let's see.
But yeah, you should be able to see what the ports say, because I can't. Like I said, it's kind of in a bad spot to get to it. Let me drop this on Google Drive and I'll pull it up on the computer. I wish I could just screen share it to this computer, but I don't. That would be way too complicated and take way too long.
Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to get this one hooked up to anything yet, so
yeah,
it'd be new to me as well.
It looks awful dirty in there, guys, but it's under the machine, so it is a little dusty. So let me
well used.
Yeah, let me get it.
It's like those videos you watch of like the pristine studio shop that isn't cluttered and messy.
Yeah.
Is it ever used?
Yeah, that's not this shop.
Yeah. No, it's not mine either.
So here's the let me swap my feed over if this will work. All right, so
let's see if we can.
This is the connector, and like I said, it is very dusty in there because it's inside the enclosure. This is the way I've got it wired up, guys. You can see the switch. All right, back here, this is the output to my rotary device that goes to there. Now, to use this one, you do have to have the X-Tool cable because he made this thing for X-Tools, and I just kind of retrofitted it. So that's the X-Tool roller cable that I use to make an adapter. This one right there, the red, white, and black, That is the one. That's the jumper that the goes up to the stepper. That red, black, and white that you see. That wire there actually goes up to the stepper, and this wire is the wire that comes from the controller that would normally plug into the stepper. No, wait a minute. Hang on. No, I got that wrong, guys. That's the rotary right there. Stepper wire. You take the wire off the stepper, connect it here, and then this is the jumper that goes from the board up here to the stepper. So the RA2, where it says RA2, that's going to be your rotary. Where it says axis, it says on the board, it says axis. All right, so that's going to be the, chuck or whatever. And then over here. But I'm using the Ortour. They're labeled different ones. I think this is the Atom Stack one. It's labeled Atom. Look and see if that second one's labeled Atom Stack.
Let's see. I've got Axis, then Ortour, Niji, Two Trees, Atom Stack, then X Tool.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm using the Atom Stack one because, like I said, guys, this machine is very similar to Atom Stack in more ways than one. But this actually is the cable going that would normally go to the stepper. So right beside the switch is where your rotary is going to go. It's going to be marked RA2 on that board. But you got to have the RA2 pigtail to adapt it to this. Now I mentioned to him and I asked him about making them for like versatile machines, for like any machine, but I don't know if he has or not yet. So, but I did meet a guy this week that makes circuit boards, and so I also threw the idea to him as well. So let me.
Cool.
So I pitched the idea to another guy. I don't know if y'all saw my post or not, but I did. I had a guy reach out to me about being able to do what in the world is up with this orientation we got going on here.
I don't know. It just switched back to that one.
Oh, how did that happen, Steve? Half screen. Where did our other one go?
There we go.
There we go. There we go.
Weird.
But I did talk to a guy. He's a ham operator, and he brought some circuit boards over here, wanting to know if I could cut the traces on them with the fiber. And I found out that I could. And he's making some little small devices for two-way radios. And I told him, I was like, hey, if you want to start making something like this is something that I know people that would want it. So I don't know if the guy that originally created that switch has adapted it for other machines yet or not, but the X2 one works.
Yeah, well. So you don't know if he's still making these or not?
I had to go on Etsy and look. As far as I know, he is. I don't know if he's upgraded them or not.
There's nothing labeled on here, so I wouldn't be able to look them up. But yeah, Brian was asking for a link.
Hang on, let me find it.
While you're looking for that, Eddie Cat has a question. He's wondering, he's got the X-Tool D1 Pro 20 watt, and he's saving up for an upgrade. He's wondering, should he go with the 40 watt module or get the 8 or 36 watt? It's about the same cost after other upgrades. My opinion would be if they're the same, I would go for the second, having the second machine on hand rather than the just the module upgrade for your existing one. Even if you can't run them at the same time, it gives you kind of a backup. You might be able to set them up for different things. Maybe one you set up as a dedicated rotary and tumbler. But if you can run both, then you can double your output if you're doing this as a business and needing to increase your output. The difference between a 40 watt and a 36 watt is going to be probably negligible, depending on how they're rating, how many diodes that each one actually has in there and such. And that's kind of my opinion on that one.
TTS 20 Pro. Which machine was that? Is that one I got right there, or is that the other one? I'll drop the link in the comments for that switch on that guy's Etsy shop. He's still showing he's selling them. He's got them for $20. And apparently he has done what I told him he needed to do and made one for other brand laser. because now when you go to his part, you can tell it whether it's an X tool or other brand laser. And then he's also added assembled switch, switch kit, switch with a housing, and assembled and housing for $35. So you can get. I guess that he's built like enclosures and stuff for him as well. So,
Hmm.
but the link is down below, and the name of his Etsy shop is Laser Accessories. It's pretty easy to remember. But I did drop a link down there so y'all guys can find it. Uh, but that's what I've been running, and it works fine for me, guys. All you have to do is flip the switch and then change your settings in Lightburn, and you're ready to go. But he has apparently made one now that fits other machines other than just the X tool, which is good because you ain't got to try to find that X tool cable or make one. Two Trees 20 watt Pro, which I'm trying to remember. I've got two different. I think Two Trees 20 watt Pro. Let me make sure that's the blue and black one. I think that's the blue and black one. Yeah, that's the TTS 20. I don't remember if it had automatic air assist or not. I had to go back and watch my review video. uh, I don't think the TTS 20 does. From my recollection, I think it. I think it's a. I don't think it comes with automatic air assist. If the machine has any kind of 12 or 24 volt output that you can use to trigger a relay of some sort, you can just about make anything that you want to work in Lightburn using either the M7 or M8 command. But I don't think the TTS 20. I don't think it came with capabilities from the motherboard. Do you know, Steve? I don't. I had to go back and watch my video, but I don't think it did.
No, I don't have any experience with the TTS machines.
Yeah.
And the ones I've looked into, yeah, I've tried to dig into some as I've opened them up to see, are there extra pinouts on them, because some controllers, there's some manufacturers using pretty much stock boards and kind of just modifying them. They might have those pins on there, but it's
Yeah.
very hit or miss. Usually, if they're on there, they're using it. So
Yeah. Hello, Eric Coburn from Billingsley. How are you? That's awful close, guys. It's awful close if he's in Billingsley. He's in the backyard over here. You look good like that, Clack. Super Dirty. What are you talking about?
that's probably when you were half cut off from the split screen.
Oh, thumbnail could be half Dave and half Steve. Oh, that'd be scary. But chuck in the rotaries would be nice to have a circuit switch between the two. Well, if you, I mean, I guess you could do it between the two of them, but I'll be honest with you, if you've got a chuck, you really don't need a rotor, in my opinion. I mean, I guess there would be situations to where a rotor would be better, but I think those would be rare. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your taste, and if you set up a bunch of jigs for the stuff, those rollers can still work all right. But I prefer a chuck rotary myself.
yeah.
But I don't use them
That,
as much as other stuff.
Dan, I got like a whole bunch of videos on that. It's a process, and if you do not do it step by step, it's not going to work. Uh, you've got to make the panels, put the panels on the machine, lock in the jig panels to the machine so that the jigs, the machine, and everything is all one big part. Once you do that, you bring in your item file, burn the item file, immediately turn it into a tool line, save the file, and then use the tool lines to center your graphics with. And it works every time. You can ask any of these guys that are in here that use my setup, and you can watch my videos. It works continuously. Now, with your machine, there may be some variation in how accurately it homes. Some machines, I would say, are dead on most every time. Some machines, you got a half a millimeter or so to play with. It depends on the setup of limit switches, how fast your machine homes. The faster it homes, the more likely you're going to have problems with consistency. But it's once you get it set up, I promise you, it works. But I've got a whole bunch of videos on there. Like, if you just go to my channel, go to my content, search the word jig, I use them daily. And I've got hours and hours. Well, thank you, Super Duty. Yeah, some folks have a hard time with it, but guys, what it is, a lot of people out there make it sound like it's so difficult, and people tend to overthink it. And they're trying to put their machine on absolute coordinates and all this stuff, and it just you can't overthink it. It's simple. It sounds like it wouldn't be, but it actually does. It actually is. Steve, did you post that link over to your chat? They're asking.
I
You
did,
did?
yes.
Yeah, Brian said he's got the same. He's got the new one, and it's the same one with a 3D printed enclosure. But that's cool that he added enclosure. That might actually keep the dust off of it. Black and blue 32 board. Hello, Stephen. Trying to watch every week. First time joining the chat. Well, we appreciate you. We're glad to have you. To do press squad. Oh, yeah. All right, Stephen. Something to know. Okay, I was going to do another video on this, but we'll go ahead and cover a bit of it now. The Sonic Pad will enable your machine to move at speeds way faster than what it did out of the box originally. But realistically, to get quality prints, my findings are that you're only going to see about 100% increase. So if you are printing acceptable prints at 50 millimeters a second before you got the Sonic Pad, you can do about the same quality at 100 millimeters per second with the Sonic Pad. This whole going from 100 from 50 to 200, that ain't happening. And the reason is even though it does boost the electronic performance of the machine, you're still limited by the extruder. You're still limited by the hot end. You're still limited by all the other hardware, the rollers. It's a sling bed. I mean, there are still other limitations. And that's why in my video I said, if you're wanting remote connectivity, tweaking, being able to view it remotely and all that, then the Sonic Pad is awesome for $150. You can't even build a Raspberry Pi for $150 now to be able to do that. So to me, it was worth it. But you're not going to get those crazy speeds. But what you have to do is you're going to have to go in and create a profile on that Sonic Pad. And the profile that they've got on there that you're going to need to use to create it is called Fast Ender. You'll see Fast Ender 3 as a profile. And you have to basically create firmware, burn it to the SD card, put it into the machine, power it up, and it'll write the firmware, and then the machine will work. But don't try to use those 200 millimeter a second settings that they've got in there. You're going to want to get down. I mean, I've been doing some playing with, having a really nice build, and then having acceptable, and then having fast for prototyping, and then the normal. And this is what I've got mine. Like, I'm printing these little things, and it's doing a really good job. But I'm only setting the print speed to like 100, 150 millimeters a second, whereas it was 50 before. So, but there's some videos out there that are really, really helpful. But yes, there's a process. If you don't flash that firmware and you don't set that profile up correctly, it's going to drive you nuts. And then just as I got mine doing like it was supposed to, I went and changed out the extruder, and that was a whole other can of worms. Because you have to go in and redial everything when you change it. I put a Sprite extruder on mine and had to go back and change everything. So, but I like it. It's really awesome. But some of these guys saying that they're getting, 300 millimeters per second prints out of an Ender 3, I don't see it.
They're probably highly specialized prints that, because some of those printers, they can do it on just certain operations, certain jobs, not everyone. So,
yeah, I mean, you'll do better. Like on something like this, where it's all straight corners, I can run that a lot faster than a whistle. You know what I mean? Because this, I can go faster speeds than I can a whistle. So I'm having to learn that the model actually dictates the speeds that I can run and have a decent, print. So, okay, I'm trying to catch up on the comments. I got behind. So if you see something, let me know.
Well, Jim, yeah, depending on the CO2 laser and what you're doing with it, you got to remember they generally have a larger focus spot. And so the detail might be a little bit less than you're thinking of, but it can also blast that power a little bit faster. So, um, yeah, that's one thing that I have been impressed moving from my CO2 to these diodes for a while is the the ease of engraving is much higher with the diodes. But the CO2, once you get that dialed in, it should work pretty well. But you got to do that every material. So
You'll not unless I'm having a problem.
yeah, as far as firmware goes, that's only if there's a new feature I really got to try, or if there's an issue. But other than that, we've both gone in and tweaked settings on the board. Maybe adjust the speeds in various things. But yeah, firmware. I'm going to want a good reason to do that.
Yeah, unless you're missing out on functionality or you're having a problem with the machine, I wouldn't recommend it because sometimes firmware is half baked. It only works for certain machines, and certain machines it makes them worse. So I just, like I said, if I have a problem, like the other night, I had a problem with my Niji that I caused, and I had to flash the firmware on it. But that was because I tried to use it with CNC software and messed up the controller settings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
Robert.
Brandon wasn't able to get his Atom stack working with the tumblers, but looks like he got an X-Tool D1 Pro 10 watt and working good. It's good to hear. And yeah, he says if he keeps getting lasers every other week, his wife's going to kick him out. Well, you
I feel you. I
got to be
feel you.
careful with that, but hopefully, hopefully this second one will do you good for a while, and you won't have to worry about that.
Brad. It's not a bad camera. It's got a pretty good picture. That's it right there. I use that camera a lot. I don't use it in enclosures because I use my little board cameras, but I use that's the Atom Stack Maker camera right there that I use for my overhead views. So anytime you see looking down on my table, that's actually the Atom Stack camera over there. Uh, so it's not a bad camera at all. Now I will say this, and Atom Stack may hate me for it, but look at the Sculpt Fun camera before you go spending your money, because uh, if you're putting it on a laser and it's gonna stay on a laser, you might be better off with Sculpt Fun. Now, if you're using it for this one works great because it's completely adjustable, and you can put it in any angle. But if you're putting it on a laser and you're going to leave it on a laser, the Sculpt Fun's a little more rigid. Doesn't move as much.
Yeah, that I love the flexibility of the Atom Stack arm and boom because you can kind of get it out of your way, but with that flexibility adds less rigidity and you run into issues where you can bump it out of alignment a lot easier. So um,
Yeah.
the Sculpt Fun one looks great. I haven't had the chance to look at that one, but its more rigid mount is definitely nice. That's one thing, that Comgrow unit that came out last year. That was a tank. I mean, you could lift up the laser by that camera handle and
Yeah.
carry it around. It was so well attached to that thing. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'd go for something as rigid as possible so that you have fewer issues with it falling out of alignment. So
Yeah. Like I said, nothing wrong with the Atom Stack camera. They're mounting the way it swivels and adjusts. If it's going to get be bumped a lot, you're going to want to like make sure you tighten everything really tight. But as far as the image quality, I mean, there it is right there. It's a good camera, and that's from about
mhm.
2 foot above the table. So I mean, it's a good image quality. I can't knock them on image quality. It works well with Lightburn, but like I said, the mounting system is not my favorite.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, so Rob, thanks for watching my video on the IKEA laser. And yes, I'll be doing some additional videos with that. I actually have the 2448 module version to look at. So definitely more coming with that one eventually. Just trying to get caught up on some other things that I had, was working on or looking to do, and it this year's been weird weather wise. So end of September, beginning of October here, we've hit record temperatures here in Minnesota. They actually canceled the Twin Cities Marathon today because of heat advisories and such. So um, hopefully that calms down as well to help me get back to some of these other projects, get them out of the way. But yes, there will be um, more follow up and more information coming out on those. Yeah, Mark says he likes the Sculpt Fun cameras, and it's kept its alignment for a while on them as well. So I mean, that's the key thing is keeping that alignment so it actually works, so you trust it is huge. Nothing worse than having any equipment you don't trust. But if you can't trust your camera to be close,
Yeah.
then it's not doing you any good.
Oh yeah, that is definitely something to be concerned with. That didn't do nothing to my audio, did it? I just changed something.
No, still look normal and sound the same, I think.
Okay, cool. It's bothering me
Unless
that my stuff's not working.
so,
Uh,
um, let's see what else we got. Uh, Jewel was asking what speeds we're getting out of our diode machines, and that's going to really depend on which machine you're talking about and what operation you're talking about. But I, well, and what material you're talking about. So, but
yeah.
realistically, you see some of these vendors and they're posting speeds of 50,000 millimeters a minute. And while it might technically be possible for them to reach those speeds, you got to remember the small working area of these lasers, and usually the smaller projects we're working on, that speed and the limited, they're limited to the acceleration and the deceleration within that small working area. They're rarely probably reaching those speeds as well. But I would say a lot of them you can start expecting to be running, up to 20,000 millimeters a minute in your engravings. Before it starts really falling off, depending on your material. Again, some may be a little bit faster, and I think there's a new. You're starting to see more of the 40s and the. I think even one I saw was talking about a 55-watt diode laser. So they're going to bring the power, but then those modules get heavier, and then can they accelerate, decelerate quickly? It's kind of a toss up there. Getting larger, heavier modules, the speeds can only increase so much before you start entering in more things like jitter and such. Oh, he got it working.
All right, now I can think straight. It bothers me,
Okay.
man. You know how it is when stuff don't work. But yeah,
So,
it really depends, guys. Like Steve said, engraving wise, I mean, just like we was doing with the We Create earlier. I mean, that thing's knocking out engraving at 400 millimeters a second on plywood. So I mean, the speeds are getting faster and faster. So and I suspect they're going to get even faster here, between now and Christmas. So if you're in the market, it's probably fixing to do another one of those little step ups that it did when we went from 10 to 20. If I was guessing.
yeah, we will have to see. Bob's asking about, he's got an Ohmtech laser. What camera would you recommend for it? It looks like he's got a 20 by 28, so it's similar to my CO2. Best thing you can do is actually measure where you're going to mount that. So probably on the frame or possibly the lid. And then you're going to want to measure that down to your working area where you typically will focus at. And then Lightburn actually has a camera selection tool in there. They'll give you kind of what they recommend, and they might be able to sell it. Otherwise, they'll say you're going to want one with this field of view and such. And from there, it's just source. You can search for that like wide angle, low profile USB camera. You'll be able to find some online pretty easily if Lightburn doesn't have the one. And a lot of times you can find the same cameras cheaper on Amazon and eBay that way. So That's going
Yeah.
to be your best
Well,
bet. Is to you want to find that distance. That's your distance from your where the camera's going to sit down the working area is kind of your big thing. And then you can enter in your working area and it'll give you your field of view you're going to need.
well, this is the one that I use for all of my homegrown enclosures now, and that's enclosure Zilla. That's a 33-inch work area right there, and in Lightburn, it works perfect. It covers the entire work area. Of course, you do have to do the calibration to get that fisheye look off of it. I have other cameras as well. Let me see whichever ones of them aren't tied up with Lightburn right now, or tied up with the software. Da-da-da. Yep, that one's eating up. That one's eating up. I got my other camera over here too, in the other enclosure. It should show up, but I got to get past all these other cameras. So give me a minute. Oh, wait a minute. But that's the fisheye camera that I use, and y'all, that's the one that y'all watch when you're watching my videos without the Acer, and they do a good job. But anyway, I like them. And then in that enclosure, I also have one of those over there. And yes, the Algo Alpha has taken the seat inside the enclosure. So had a little problem with the P2. I think it might have been my own fault, but either way, we've moved on.
Said P2, and I was like, wait a minute, X Tool sent you something nice.
No, I don't have an X2 P2. I don't got to where to park that thing. That thing's huge.
Yeah, no, you're talking about the ASMR, so or
Yeah.
Acmer, ASMR. You know, I wish they'd send phonetics of spelling of some of these names when they send these devices out.
Now, Jim, I will tell you this: depending on which machine you have, a lot of these guys will advertise that their machine will do 20,000 millimeters a second or whatever, or millimeters a minute. But then when you go into the controller, they've got it limited to 12,000. That happens a lot.
Yep.
So you have to know how to go in and look at that, because if you do a speed test and at about 150 millimeters a second and above, it looks like it's doing the same thing, it's probably governed inside the controller. You have to go in and change that to open them up. A lot of machines are doing that.
So Deborah's asking on the newest Niji you've got, what's the latest working area to work with?
What size working area is it?
Yeah.
Shoot. Don't make me lie. Hang on. Let me pull up Lightburn. let me let me pull up Lightburn here and see. I got to go into Lightburn to see what the settings are for it. Niji 4 Max. All right, and it's not going to connect to it, of course. Take that out of there, but I can go in here and tell you. 750 by 460 is what it's running, and that's out of the box, no extensions. That's just straight up the way it came. 750 by 460. So there you have it.
Which is interesting that it's just a touch smaller than the version 3.
Yeah, and I don't know if they did that for any particular reason. I don't know why they would go backwards on bed size, but whatever. It's still a really good working area machine, and they do sell an extension for it. So there's always that. But it would be ridiculous if you add extensions to it, because I think it makes it 1,000 millimeters long if you add extensions.
Yeah, 1,000 by 790. That'd be a pretty big laser.
There is the link for the cameras that I use. I just dropped it in there. Dave, if you're talking about my Comgrow Air Assist, it apparently is still working. I haven't had any complaints about it, but it's not in my shot right now. It's being used elsewhere. My chat just took a dump. I wish they'd fix that. Oh, there it comes back. No, Chris, I think they just made the frame smaller. This one's actually a smaller frame than the Niji 3 Max that I had. So I think they, for whatever reason, they just decided to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, and you and I have the same laser module, but you've got the Z axis, the motorized Z axis on yours was kind of one of the big changes between the 3 and the 4. So not sure it's
No,
something to
Brian.
do with that.
No, Brian. My chat, not cat, chat. The chat screen. It gets glitchy sometimes. But yeah, that's the. You can see it right there. But it's a little bigger than the longer. That's the longer beside it, and you know how big that longer is. So it's a pretty good sized machine, and it does a really good job. I like it. I just need I need somewhere to put it. I need more room. So
So, Brian, one thing that you might want to do if you haven't is look up some material test grids. If you're using Lightburn, they've got them built in that you can run. Otherwise, please don't pay for them anywhere. There are some available around in various groups and such as well. But I've actually got a video on running those material tests. That should help you kind of get it a little more in the ballpark because it'll create a grid from power and speed in both cut and engrave, and that'll help you kind of figure out what it's supposed to be doing. I'm not familiar, haven't used the Elegoo. I don't even say that, but um, I think isn't that the one that has the skirt and kind of the air purifier thing on it, and so I don't know if it's what it's running for air assist, but air assist is a real big help in when cutting. So
yeah, and I don't have yours just yet, Steve. But there's the video I did on power testing in Lightburn. If you're not familiar with it, and it's a very, 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 very valuable tool. Are you gonna be able to get your link and drop it in there for him?
I can grab it. Yep.
Okay, it's easier for you to find them because I can find mine quick, but it's going to take a second for a minute for me to find them on yours. Just because I don't know how you titled yours. Let's see. No, Brian, I'll get it. I'll get it figured out. I don't believe in GoFundMe, so I can get it going. I just gotta get some more work turned out, and like I said, I'm still saving to buy back my retirement time so that I can go ahead and hopefully retire in the next couple of years. But I'll eventually get me another shop, hopefully, a bigger one. I'm gonna need somewhere to work when I retire because I might stay busy.
So yeah, Brian, the air assist, yeah, a lot of them use that simple pump, but you want to make sure that it's got got decent air coming out of the nozzle as well. But try the material test. Either one of our videos should hopefully help. And yeah, sometimes it's just gotta play with the new laser a little bit and run it through some tests and see what works best for it.
Mm, yeah, Brandy's born. Okay. All right. This is a question I get a lot, and it's two different animals. The whole thing in a nutshell is two totally different creatures as far as an IR and a fiber. Technically, the wavelength of light can be the same between the two. It's how they work, it's the speed and how they move. If you put an IR module on, let's say, X Tool's pretty popular. If you put an IR module on an X Tool D1, you're still working with the same capabilities as far as marking metal and stuff, but it's a 2 watts versus if you get a small fiber like this guy that I've got sitting right here, it's a 20 watt. So there's a big power difference on that. Now, a module for an X tool is cheaper than one of those. And so if you're just wanting to do like jewelry and small things that's not going to take a long time, then that may be the cost effective way to go. But if you're it's not exactly the same. You can do a lot of the same stuff with them, but it's kind of like diodes as compared to CO2s in some situations. it has the capabilities of doing the same work just a lot faster. So I guess I mean, do you know any better way to explain it, Steve?
Uh, hmm,
Because you've got the F1 now, which is technically
it's
it's
it
not a fiber, it's an IR, but
well,
it's
but
a
it's on a
well,
it's
it's
got
a
a
galvo.
galvan up. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's directed by mirrors instead of a gantry moving around, and you can get like Atom Stack has their 1064 20-watt pulse fiber laser module that goes on your gantry machine. So it's generally the fiber ones are pretty much going to create a larger power beam, and that's where you can start getting into some depth. The IRs on even this small galvo and your module based ones are more for just marking, but they allow you over the blue light to get into certain materials that you wouldn't be able to with you know with your typical blue standard diode laser. So
yeah. But no, it's like I said, it's a little bit different. Like, there's a lot of machines that make the 1064 module, and like I said, I don't think it would be. It's not going to have the same speed, but by no means. I mean, this guy over here runs at 10,000 millimeters a second. I mean, and you can't do that with the 2 watt IR module and expect to have any results. So they each have pros and cons. It just depends on what you want to do with it. I am not aware of any bolt-on out of the box stuff modules that would work with the Acer. I mean, I'm not saying that you couldn't take a module and make it work with it, but I'm not aware of any.
which eights are that's
It's
the
saying Acer 20 watt
okay, so the
or
yeah,
10 or 20 watt combo.
because the Atom Stack technically works on the IKEA frame. So if you had the what is it, the L2 Acer, is the one with the
Yeah,
autofocus and such,
yeah,
plausibly could make the Atom Stack slash IKEA module work on an Acer L2. I'm not saying I recommend it or that I'm guaranteeing it, but those two lasers are so identical that I wouldn't be surprised if you could make it work that way.
yeah. Robert, right now we're like at 81, I think, is what I can see on my end. Is that what you're showing on your end, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
It's getting more and more people. We've gotten to where usually it's around 80 to 100 people. Which if you haven't already hit the like button, guys, hit the like button. Maybe somebody else will notice that we're actually live here. But but yeah, it's growing a little bit, a little every day. It's fun anyway. Uh, there we go, Chris. That's a good analogy, I guess.
Yeah, I yeah, for the cost of them, um, I I'm not sure because you're lacking the speed that you get with, some of the more the Comgrow or even this X-Tool F1, and I haven't even looked at the price of the module for the X-Tools, but the F1 being on sale, I know it's still a bit pricey, but I think it's down to about $1,500 $1,600 right now. And for me, that one is great for the craft show kind of thing, the on spot thing, where you might have your blanks all done. You're not looking to cut, you're just looking to mark. You're looking to customize them. It's fast at that, it's portable, it's protected. And that's where I think that style, kind of similar with the laser peckers and a few others like that, those smaller, diode slash blue light lasers are going to be kind of your mobile marking device. And then in that case, you don't necessarily need the power of the 20 watt. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't got to play with one of the 2 watt ones, but the F1 is still just a 2 watt, isn't it? But it's a
yeah,
Galvo 2 watt, so it
it
moves a lot faster.
so yeah, it's a 2 watt Galvo um, IR, but it also has the 10 watt blue diode in it, so you kind of get the mixture of the two, and so that's kind of nice. Um, but you're definitely not going to be doing any depth with that IR.
Yeah. Yeah, no, even the 20 watt that I've got, and you've got one just like it. You can do a little, decent depth, but to do stuff like, what a lot of people want to do, you're going to have to get up to like Jack's got that 100 watt, Mopa or whatever to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you're still, even with this 20 watt fiber, it's still like these challenge coins that I do. I mean, this actually takes a little while, and it's not really digging into it a lot. I mean, maybe thousandths, but it still takes a little while, even with the 20 watt. So you're not going to be able to just go grab a 20 watt fiber and do leaf designs on firearms or nothing like that with it that has any kind of 3D depth to it or anything. You're gonna have something. You're gonna have to step your game up to like 100 watt. I would imagine. You might could get away with it like a 60 maybe, but to do it right, I think you got to get on up there.
Well, you either got time or you got money. So
Yeah. Yeah, 559 is what Jim's saying.
okay, well, I mean that's
Pro
not.
R is.
I feel like when it first came out, it was a lot more than that, but you know,
If you had let's say you had a 10 watt D1 Pro that you weren't using anymore, and you wanted something to do metal with, because I'm not one for swapping my modules out in the way that one swaps out. You know what I mean? It's not like plug and play necessarily. But if you had a 10 watt D1 laying around and that you weren't using, maybe you'd bought a 20, it wouldn't be a bad thing to do. Put the 2 watt IR on there and have capabilities. But yeah. Let's see, Robert. Yeah, it's bothering me, but I've tried everything. It's it's in the doctor's hands now. I just have to stand up every now and then. Mark, the advertised depth is like what was it? Is it 3 thousandths, I think, of an inch is the advertised depth of the com marker. I think it's 3 thousandths.
yeah, I'd
Now,
have to go back and look again.
Now, if you drop the focus, you can do a little deeper than that, but not a lot. Because one thing I have learned is with these fibers, the focal forgiveness is not much with a fiber. If it's not exactly focused, it won't do nothing. So, 10 watts Gold Fun Mark stainless steel. Yes, you can mark with a blue diode, but you're not gonna touch like nickel or iron, any kind of ferrous metal with blue diode.
So on the com marker 20 watt, it's a 0.3 millimeter max depth on metal.
Is it 0.3 millimeter? Okay.
Yep.
It's actually probably more than a 3 thousandths then. I don't know, but I know it's not a lot. 0.3, yeah, that's 3/10 of a millimeter. But yeah, Jim, are you talking about me on these? No, this is not marking spray. This is This is the fiber. If that's what you're talking about. This is mine and Steve's coin. And the reason I say it's mine and Steve's coin is because if there's ever a situation to where we don't know which one of us is right, I could just flip a coin to determine who's right.
I still need to check that to make sure it's not weighted.
hey, so far it's only landed on the clack shack. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, the IR module, I would imagine for a 2 watt, it would definitely have to have a real short focus as well, because if not, if it doesn't come down to a real fine point, it's not going to be doing a whole lot of work. And you can't cut anything with this fiber. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. You're not going to, unless it's, now you can cut traces on circuitry boards. I figured that one out. Did that the other day.
Yeah. So.
Oh, Close test grid results on the
Yeah, the like Mark's saying, the depth of focus on those is really short as well. So that can be an issue if you don't have your focus on and you're trying to run your job. It's going to be to uh, very ineffective if not doing nothing.
yeah. Close up test grid results on a mirror. I don't have any of those like laying around anywhere. Mirrors are pretty easy. I mean, mirrors like they're very forgiving. If you're a little bit off on the settings, just you're not really gonna notice it. I still recommend doing a test grid though, but they are very forgiving. What's up, Alive Pixel Create? Welcome aboard. Uh, okay, Mark. See, that's Mark. Mark knows I suck at math, so he did the math for me. 0.3 millimeters is apparently 0.01181102
You know,
inches.
there's online calculators do that really quick for you.
Yeah, but I'm too busy trying to read these comments.
Uh huh. This is my point exactly. I think the coin's loaded.
It's not loaded. It just likes landing on the clack shack, guys. When I flip it like seriously, it just lands on clack shack. But see, I mean, I've even tried. I've tried giving you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just like, and look, up, it fell off. But it just will not. I don't know. I don't know if maybe I engraved it heavier on the clack shack side or something. I don't know. But seriously, you can flip it. Oh, wait. Look, I actually got Steve that time.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's a
but yeah. But yeah, these actually turned out really. I really need to get me a close up camera for doing these, but these actually turned out really well. And like I said, I made that just to, like I said, if we have an argument, we just this we break out the coin to settle the argument. That whoever wins the coin toss just has to say, "All right, I got you got me."
I see. I'm gonna have to make my own coin now.
I can't believe you hadn't already.
Oh, I thought I did, but maybe I threw it away because it kept landing on your side.
Uh, yeah. Uh, I use Ceremark, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you why you shouldn't use other sprays. I use Ceremark because that's what I started using. It works. I like the results, and I haven't wanted to change. That's the only explanation I got for why I use Ceremark rather than Brilliance, rather than this, rather than that. Is I started using it, it works, and I just don't want to change it. So how do you stand on that question there, Steve?
Uh, well, I've done the tempera paint thing, and it as long as you've got a good way to kind of spray it on even, it works. But the dry time, sometimes you gotta do a coat, let it dry, do a coat, try to get it even. So I'm kind of like you. I've used Sir Marks, but I've also used the Brilliance marking spray as well, and that works just the same on glass anyway. So yeah, I like to use something that washes off with water, but I know a lot of people have used chalkboard paint and other things as well with great success. But generally, most of those you're going to have to like clean with chemicals to get the excess paint off and such. So I like just being able to take it over the sink, rinse it off, and dry it with a towel.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I have actually accidentally double burned some glass before, where I had like an image all the way on both sides, but it wasn't on purpose.
Is that because it reflected, or you ran the job twice?
I forgot to put something in the middle of it when I did it, and I had sprayed it with Mark on both sides, not thinking about it.
Uh,
And so it like shot through the top, it went through the bottom. Now it was way out of focus on the other side, but it still caused adhesion. So I think it was a wine glass I did it on, so it wasn't but an inch or two through there, but it just baked the
mm,
Sir Mark on the back side of it. But that was not intentional. Yeah, OmTech spray. Like I said, I think all these sprays probably have basically the same ingredients. There may be some slight differences, but like I said, only reason I use Ceremark is because when I first started researching, that's what I found information on. I bought some of it. It worked. I had the settings for it already, and I've just kept using it.
Yeah, I was gonna check. It shows it in here, but this is generally what you're looking for. If I can get it to focus.
Yeah, that
Nope.
don't look like that's happening. Oh,
There.
there it goes.
So that molybdenum. Boy, someone needs to work on naming things when there's in science. That's one of the core um, ingredients, and yeah, I see that's in here as well. So um, that's why some people say using that dry molly works. So, but that just smells like I'm spraying brake fluid or brake cleaner everywhere. So
Yeah, and that's another thing with the Surmark. It doesn't really smell. Like it doesn't stink up the shop. Now I usually walk outside to spray it just because I don't want it getting everywhere. But if you do get it on something that it don't need to be on, it's water based. So no 10 minus. I just make mistakes sometimes. I just forget or don't do something, or especially when you got a video camera trying to drag it around with you. You tend to like concentrate more on the camera than you do what you're actually doing, and you forget to do things, and then you realize that you didn't do it, and it's too late. So, but that's why, like I tell you guys, always get at least one extra blank for testing. But when you're gonna do videos on it, you need to get two or three, because you're gonna forget and screw something up or not focus the machine or. I mean, it never happens. Am I wrong? It never.
yeah,
Nothing ever goes the way it's
it's
supposed to.
it's nice when you notice it right away, and not when you're sitting there editing it and going, all right, I got everything together. Let's cut this down, and you realize you said or showed the wrong thing, and you're like,
Or your audio doesn't work, and you're like,
oh
oh,
yeah,
oh.
I've had that where the plug on the microphone, the lapel mic cord has popped out just a little bit, and so you go listen to it, and you're like, oh
That's when if y'all ever see me do like this weird voiceover that really doesn't look like it fit, it's because I screwed up and didn't get audio, or either my mic died and I didn't realize it halfway through. That's usually when that happens. So I just do
yeah,
a voiceover. I'm like throw my hands up and I'm just like, you know what, voiceover it is. Let's just do this.
yep, yeah. Voiceovers can be a lifesaver. Sometimes I actually just plan to do mostly voiceover for my videos. Um,
Yeah,
you'll see that a lot when I'm doing like project videos and such. I'll just kind of just jump into the project and then try to explain in the
yeah.
edit what was going on. So
And a lot of times too, I mean, I find that because occasionally I just want to do a project, and I don't want to be talking to a camera. And so I just set the cameras up and just video myself doing it and then go back and walk through and tell everybody what I'm doing. That way I'm still getting to do my projects. And it's not like I'm trying to teach while I'm doing
yeah,
it. So it's just, it's just those weird things that nobody thinks of until you start doing it and you're like, huh. Projects aren't as much fun when you're explaining every step sometimes.
yeah, yeah. That's like it on getting a new machine, and you're kind of like, do I record the build? You know,
Yeah.
because there's not everybody cares about that part. They just want to see what it can do, or maybe they have it built. They want to get some help on actually running it. But then there's the ones who do want hey, they get stuck somewhere. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, it's a lot to think about. All right, guys. Questions. If y'all don't, we're just gonna sit here and ramble, and y'all are gonna just sit here and watch us ramble. So, questions, comments, concerns. Anybody got anything funny they want to say about Brian? I mean, anything's welcome. But yeah, I'm so glad I got I'm glad I got my buttons over here working. I don't know how that got messed up. I think it was because I didn't turn my headset on until after I got into the software. I think that messed me up.
well, it's October, and that means we're coming up really quick on the Minnesota Woodworkers Show. This expo is going on up at the Canterbury Expo Center in Shakopee, Minnesota, and they have asked me to come and do some laser demos. They have a big exhibit hall with, I think they got 70 different exhibitors from schools to makers to retailers, and even companies like SawStop and DeWalt and Festool and such are having some sort of presence there. So anyway, I will be there in 2 weeks for Saturday there doing some laser demonstrations, hopefully running the F1, bringing a diode, and I may even drag along the small Monport to have as a example of a CO2, but I'm not going to be running that there. So if you're in the area, check it out. Stop by, say hi. I even have some things to, some swag or something to give away. So
Yeah. Oh, TRM, I'm not sure, but it depends on which TTS you have. I know they have several different versions, but I think they have a 5, 10, and a 20 watt in that machine. I don't know if they offer just a upgrade, but those machines are pretty affordable. So, if you like the TTS, like the TTS 20 was actually a pretty decent machine. So, I don't know if they offer module upgrades. And one thing I will say that anytime you get into upgrading modules or stuff like that, there's a certain level of technician you're going to have to be able to do that, especially if it's not a plug and play type setup. It can get a little hectic. You use a airbrush? I do not.
I've used a number of them, and so it depends on how fancy you want to get. You can get single action and double action. The difference there is one basically controls the airflow, the other one controls both the airflow as well as kind of your paint, um, the nozzle size. So uh, if you haven't used one before, I would look for a single action, and I haven't bought one in years. When I was using mostly Badger airbrushes. So that's my kind of in a nutshell thing. I would look just for a simple single action, and if you're looking for hobby size, Badger. Otherwise, if you're looking for something bigger, you know, gonna have to look somewhere else. I haven't gotten into larger paint sprayers, but
Yeah. No, diodes don't really cut metal. I know if you get metal that is like aluminum foil, maybe you could, but I just really don't have a need for that. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I know that it looks cool and all, but I haven't fooled with it. How about you, Steve?
yeah, I know a few of them have advertised just really thin stainless steel that it can cut, and I think a couple of them may have even sent. I mean, these are just they're like one layer above aluminum foil kind of things as
Mm-hmm.
far as cutting. So yeah, it kind of falls into that. Technically, it can on some very small sizes and such, but realistically, unless you're working with like a foil based application on top of something, I don't know the practicality of its application at that point. So
Yeah, you can just about take a cookie cutter and a piece of foam and do the same thing.
yeah.
Painted. I have done painted canvas, multicolored, and I think you've played around with it too. Not something I do a lot of because I stick more with wood, but I have done them. It's very very setting related. So
Well, it's twofold for me because you got to get your settings, but you got to get your paint application consistent because
hmm
you're burning down through those layers. So if you go heavy on one and light on the other, your settings are going to be off. So it's something that's fun to dabble in, and yeah, I want to play around a little bit more with it, but yeah, you do want to have a real consistent setup so that you can engrave or you can apply the paint layers um, fairly evenly. But
let me see if I still got it. Reference Commodore Z1. Stainless steel wood.
John,
Not
I've heard great things about
seeing it.
the Rolly Lasermatic, and they've just come out with their 20-watt module. So unfortunately, I don't have experience with either, but I know they've got a pretty good support structure in there. So hopefully, they'll have some good information on that.
Yeah, whoever's asking for the mirror stuff, all I know, I can remember it's really, really fast. Like, I want to say it was like 120 or 130 and like 15% power or something to get a frosting. I can't remember. I do test grids. Like if somebody called me today and said, "Hey, I want a mirror done," I would sit down with whatever machine I was going to use and do a test grid on a mirror before I did the mirror. It's just I don't guess anymore because I've messed up too many jobs guessing.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to save my packs of tests. Um, so like when I run a number of different types of woods, I'll actually save those cards and put them in a bag. I'm trying to be better about creating my libraries for when people ask. But yeah, going back to that, I'd have to look, and you're right on the mirror, higher speed and lower power because it's got a pretty dark backing on there, so it doesn't take a lot of power to interact with that. So
Yeah, I've probably got one over there, but I'd have to dig it out because I've got mirrors that I use for testing. But each machine's different. I mean, it's just different. What's this mean? Is there a degree? Is there degrees of that?
well, looking at the abbreviations of the states, so
Yeah. Well, let's just put it this way. Uh, yeah, I got a few.
I have a friend who just moved out to Idaho this past year, and he's been sending pictures back of their house build. You think of Idaho, and me being out here in Midwest farm country, I think Idaho and potatoes. It's just farm country, but they got some beautiful mountains out there too,
Yeah.
and lakes. So
Yeah. No.
one of the states I haven't been to yet.
Here in Alabama, where I live. I think it's a requirement to live here. You have to have a minimum of 5 guns in your house. I don't know. I don't know anybody that has less than that. So I don't know. Most people that I'm friends with have some people have a gun safe. Most people that I'm friends with have several. So, uh, and I know a couple of people who actually have a room built in their house. So yeah, it's Alabama where I'm at, especially is you don't want to come over here and start trying to carjack people. It won't end well for you.
uh, let's see here. Looks like Daniel with the live pixel creates. He's got the Rolly and really likes it. That's one machine I'd love to you know at least get a chance to play with because I've heard really good things about it. I like the fact that it's got it's. I think it was they were one of the first ones because they did more of the it comes ready fully enclosed kind of situation. It was more of kind of a it looks more like the laser had a cover built onto the top of it, but they were one of the first ones I think to really push that being kind of more standard, and we're seeing it with your Recreate, and I know there's a couple others I've seen on the cusp coming out as well. So
Yeah. Uh,
yeah, and a hobo's got a point there. Just like any glass, I mean mirrors, it's mostly glass, but it really you got to test, you got to run tests on different materials. Just and not all mirrors are the same, not all glass is the same. So oddly enough, with glass, usually the cheaper the better. I don't know about mirrors. I've luckily have not had too many problems with them, but I haven't done a whole lot of them. I have a stack of 12 by 12. I should do a couple more, but
yeah. I may have one in here somewhere, but I've got one on my test stuff over there, but it's covered up. Chris, they're not a legal requirement here, but we also have our fair share of people that will steal them while you're at work if you're not careful. So most folks have them. Yeah, the Rolly that is an intriguing machine. I've seen it. Like I said, I know Rich likes his. I know Hobo. I think he's in here. I know he
yep.
likes it. And it's a very intriguing machine. I wouldn't mind playing with one, but our situation, I'm not fixing to go run out and buy one because I'm good on lasers right now. But I wouldn't mind playing with one. So
Um, So Gerard's saying he's got an X-Tool D1 Pro with the extension installed and cannot get it to go past the original stock size.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need to make some changes there. And with X-Tool, I'm pretty sure you have to do it through XCS instead of Lightburn. So if you haven't reopened XCS and gone in there to kind of update the settings of the printer, it's got to kind of tell the board how big it is so it doesn't have its soft limits and everything. That's something you got to do. And for any other lasers, and I just dropped one on the Atom Stack one, you do have to go in and you got to change. It's like the 131 or 132 settings, and that's going to tell the board its working area, and then you're going to want to tell Lightburn in the device settings how big the machine is as well, and then you shouldn't have any problems with that. But Xtool kind of locks theirs down. You got to use XCS to make any of those changes. So
Yeah, I
if
think
you
they've got it
haven't,
down now to where it's just a switch. You just click the switch that it's
yeah,
extended, and it automatically does everything for
yeah.
you.
I mean, that's one nice thing is they make it fairly simple for those things, but um, you do have to do it through XCS.
And I think on that machine, I think you still have to flip the switch to change controller settings, like the firmware of the
Yeah,
switch.
to get it to write to it. Yes.
Yeah. So if you haven't been flipping the little switch on the board to make it to allow you to write to the controller, you're going to have to do that before you make that change. Also, unless they've changed it. Like I said, I haven't messed with the firmware settings on an X tool in a while. So, but if you enable writing and you go in and make that change, it should fix it. I haven't seen any situations where it couldn't be fixed.
Yeah, that switch is weird on there. I was the other day I was doing something and I must have bumped it because I all of a sudden I couldn't connect. My computer wasn't seeing the machine at all until I went in and powered it off and flipped that switch back over. So
Don't know why it would do that.
that one was really puzzling me. So, but they are what they are. So everybody got quiet. So what?
I'm reading. I'm reading.
No. Um, it's October. We're rolling very quickly through fall. We're gonna be hitting Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So, I know you've been kind of focused more on getting your back feeling better, but you got anything going on?
Well, we've got events coming up. A few downtown. May's having her open house. I'll probably participate in that if Lord's willing, gets me back on my feet, so to speak. Uh, we got a few events downtown coming up. Like I said, open house. We've got some holiday kickoffs with the Merchants Association. A couple of things with the chamber for Halloween. So it's nothing big. I wouldn't say I got anything I got to necessarily get ready for, but just typical Christmas rush, of course. I'm trying to not overbook as much as I did last year because last year I had all my usual, jobs and stuff, and I hate telling people no. And I had people calling me like 2 weeks before Christmas. Hey, can you make me this? Hey, can you make me that? Hey, can you make me this? So I'm probably gonna have to, just break down and just say no this year because last year I was out here like the last 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas. I was out here till like 2 in the morning trying to get caught up on jobs. So I'm gonna have to be careful not to overbook this year. But I do have Klein helping me out with an overflow. So hopefully it won't get that bad. We'll see.
Yeah, that's having deadlines and sticking to them as far as like for people like you have to order it by this date otherwise it will not happen for Christmas. That's
Yeah.
important just to kind of help you control your workflow and give you the break as well. So it's you know it, I say that we're bad at that at college too. Is we'll let students enroll sometimes after the first day of the semester, and it's kind of like, well, maybe it'd be best to have them wait till next semester to start. But
Callie's going to bed, guys. She says good night. I don't know if y'all can see her over my shoulder climbing the ladder going up into the attic. She's going up there to go to
yeah,
sleep. But yeah, it's definitely something you got to pay attention to. John, not that I'm aware of. If you do your settings right, you should know with pretty consistency what materials that your machine's going to cut through, and always run a setting that's on the conservative side of it's going to cut. That way you don't have to worry about that. Now, there's always going to be an exception to the rule, but typically.
Yeah, that if I've had a finicky material, one thing that was nice on my CO2 is it had a big door that opened up underneath the honeycomb, and so I could get a light under there and kind of just shine it up and check to see if I saw any like major gaps in the lines and such. So if I wanted to try to run it through again, on a cut to see if it worked better. But even then, the honeycomb can block just small things and it gets annoying.
Yeah. But yeah. Yes, Brian. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, Eddie's wondering about the best height for an enclosure to install a camera. Most of the typical cameras are what about 12 to 14 inches above, and as minimum.
If it's a
I mean,
if
that's
it's a
like
flat lens, you're looking at 20.
that's like the minimum, I would say.
Yeah, if it's a flat lens, you better stay close to 20. But
Yeah.
if it's a fisheye, you can go all the way down. I've went all the way down to 12 on a 400 by 400 with a fisheye, and it works great. No, but typically 12 to 20. If you're going with a fisheye, I'd say 12 to 20 would be what I would look at doing. But that's just my personal preference, and it depends on the camera too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most of the ones that are coming from like Comgrow and Sculpt from an Atom Stack, they're not that tall. So I don't
Yeah.
think you got to get too crazy, but you get under 12 inches, and it's going to have to be a really wide angle, and you might not cover the whole bed. So
Yes. Yes, Brian, it is actually very common. As soon as you get through engraving an ammo can, I would advise you to clean it with some rubbing alcohol or something and apply a coat of clear coat to it. Because if you don't, once it gets a little moisture to it, it's going to rust because that's steel. It's not stainless steel. It's just straight up steel, and it will rust quickly once you eliminate all the coating off of it. So yeah, that's normal. Because you took removed all the coating and heated it up, so it's gonna rust quick.
yep. And maybe you like that look.
Yeah, but yeah, everybody's talking about the X tool. I will say this: I bought my first X tool, and within 3 months, I had made enough money to pay it off and put a little money in my pocket to purchase a X Tool D1 Pro. Yes, depending on what you want with the machines, you can do stuff with them, but just like any of these machines, they're really good at some things and not so much at others. Every machine I have ever tested, I haven't found the machine that's great at everything yet. There's machines that are great at one thing, but they're kind of not so much at another. So it just figure out what do you want to do with the machine. Is that something that the machine is capable of? And if it is, you can make money with it. You just got to figure out how to do it. But there's a lot more to making money with them than just being able to run them. There's a whole business side of that. So people ask me all the time, "Oh, I'm just going to buy a laser and make money." It's not. It's not just about can you run the laser. You've got to be able to sell your products too. Oh,
Jim's asking, do you prefer bare stainless tumblers or the colored tumblers? And I guess my
color.
response to that is whatever the customers want. That's what I prefer.
Yeah, color. I prefer color because
But
it's less
yeah,
headache.
I would say, yeah. Well, yes and no, because I mean, if you're using a plain stainless steel cup and you're applying like Cermark to it, your settings are pretty much what they are. Whereas, you get a black cup versus a red cup versus a yellow cup, your settings kind of start getting all over the place. So,
No, I was
but
gonna go with black Hassel Outfitters. That way I know. I've done hundreds of
yeah.
those things, so I know exactly how they're gonna burn.
Now, as far as the look, I like the look of the stainless steel coming through the color, through the paint or the powder coat or whatever. I like that look better. But for me, ease, yeah, if you can just get dialed in on one, I guess, pick your brand and your color. If you could stick with that, that's going to be ideal because they all have their nuances.
Yeah. Well, see you later there, Eddie. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, follow, share, all that good stuff. And if you hadn't, go check out the laser engraving community page. That's kind of where we all hang out and share projects, advice, ask for help, whatever, or whatever needs to be done that day. But uh, but yeah, where do you find the best return customers or bulk in your experience? Uh,
Sometimes it's not about return customers, but
I
customers
such
who
to
refer
say,
people. Um,
yeah.
it so it can be nice, and you've got this going with your stove covers. Um, it can be nice to have
Hmm.
that consistent business and kind of income coming in that's fairly regular. But keep in mind that can also get very monotonous if you're doing the
Hmm.
same thing over and over and over. Um, I had that. I made these folding model airplane stands for my model airplane business for a while, and they were great. They were a great money maker. I made a lot of them, but there were some days I'm literally part of the machine, just feeding plywood into the CNC, pulling it out, cutting it on the table saw, bagging it up, and after a while, you're kind of like, well, now I'm just part of the automation. So
Yeah.
kind of being able to get referrals from people that might have different projects and ideas. If you're more of a creative person rather than the engineer that just wants to churn stuff out, the creative part of you might get bored with the same customers coming back wanting the same thing with just a slight twist. So,
Well, you gotta have, and this is the way I look at it. You've gotta have a foundation as far as a base to keep the lights on to make sure you can pay the power bill.
hmm
My power bill has to be paid, whether I have fun or whether I don't. My power bill has to be paid, or I ain't gonna be doing any lasering. So, I have customers which I make products for on a weekly basis, and it's just like you said, it's the same thing, and I can do those things in my sleep. Like those stove covers, I've got that to where I can do like 7 of those in a day. Like if I sit in here and just get after it, I can do 7 in a day. I've got a system. I know exactly how long it takes. I've got to where I can reach in the bucket, grab a handful of screws, and I've got the exact number of screws I need. I mean, I've got that down to a science. I've made every jig you can make for it. So it's those keep the lights on, but I enjoy those jobs where it's something I haven't done before, especially from the perspective of having a YouTube channel because I can't do a video every week about making stove covers, and I like being able to use my projects to do videos and do content, and I like the creativity that comes with it. Like you said, I get bored with the cookie cutter stuff, but it's a necessary evil to make sure I can pay that light bill every month because I know I'm going to have that customer coming back. So it depends, but the key to any business and staying in business is you got to get out there and get your name out because if nobody knows who you are, they're not going to know how to call you, and they're not going to know to call you. So whatever you have to use. I'm a member of the Merchants Association, member of the Chamber of Commerce. I go to events. I hand out freebies to businesses when they come to town. I do everything. I want every business in this town to know who I am, what I do, and how to get in touch with me. Because when they go, you know what, I need some coasters for my restaurant, or I want to put this cool board out in the lobby where people can see it at my motel. I want them to know, hey, call this guy, he'll fix you up. So marketing. Marketing is the most valuable tool that you'll ever have if you're trying to make money. So, but anyway, that's like a whole day long conversation because my business actually started out accidentally. Like my wife would put pictures of stuff I made for her on Facebook, and people would be like, "Hey, how much for that? How much does that cost? Oh, hey, can you get David to make me one of these?" That's how mine started out. My wife would be like, I'd put a picture on Facebook and be like, made this for the wife today. She loves it. And a lady would be like, hey, I'll give you $50 for it. And I'm like, oh. And Brandy's like, sell it, make me another one. So, that's how mine started. I didn't really intend on starting a business. I just had a hobby and I was selling stuff that I did. And then it got to where people were like, where'd you get that? Oh, I got it over here at Clax. Okay, well, how much did he charge you? Oh, I need one of those. And so it just snowballed to the point to where, like I said, now I've got people that I'm actually giving jobs to because I don't have time to do them all. This is still my part-time gig, believe it or not.
yep, yep. It, those pesky
All right.
careers and full-time jobs we have. So
I saw this earlier, but we missed him, so I'm gonna try to make sure we get him this time. Uh, leaves a burn mark, and it's just a touch off to the right before it moves on. Not sure if there's more to this. When you say it leaves a burn mark, are you say is this a CO2 or a diode? First of all, because if it's a CO2, I'm pretty sure your last mirror needs some adjustments. From what it sounds like, because you'll have like a shadow cut basically. But need a little more information there, Eric.
yeah,
What kind of machines?
it says a 36-watt diode.
Leaves a burn mark and it's just a touch off to the right before it moves on. I'm not sure what that. What do you mean by it's just a touch off to the right? Is it not cutting where it's supposed to, or is the circle
So
oblong or out of shape, or
the I the only software thing that I can think of is if he's using Lightburn under the line, you can go into the advanced tab. There is a lead in and lead out option that's normally defaulted off. That would be something to check to see if one of those is turned on. If it's on every single line. The other thing, I mean, this sounds slightly like the issue I had with the Longer the first time I was running it, where it was actually detected as the wrong type of GRBL
yeah, I think that's
controller.
what he's got. I think that's what he just said. It's always just before moving to the next cut. It's overburning. So I
Yeah,
bet it's set as a GRB M1 or 1.1 instead of just straight up GRBL.
yeah. There, I would double check go into your devices under Lightbird and see what mode of GRBL it's set up as. Um, because that may be, if it's set to the wrong one, it may be lingering there with the laser on, and you'll need to adjust that.
Yeah. Also, make sure you don't have constant power mode on, because constant power mode will kind of give the same look as that, and that's actually in the layer settings. There's a little switch that says
Yeah.
constant power. You do not want that on under normal circumstances. I really don't know of any circumstances that you would want it on. Okay, yeah, it's not supposed to be LPC. That's going to be the problem. He said it's GRB LPC.
Well, do you say it's the 8s or L2?
Is it
Because
the L2?
those are the
Oh, is it?
LPC. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well, check constant
It's
power mode then.
it's the M3 one that can that I was running into where the Longer was detected as an M3 instead of a straight GRBL. So
Okay. I guess I just didn't pay attention when I had my eights are up and rolling. But check the constant power mode, and I'll show you here on my screen. I'm guessing I got my screen pulled up. Yeah. All right. When you go into when you put a cut up here, whatever, and you go to cuts and layers, that constant power right there, you don't want that on. You want to turn that off because basically that makes the power of that module output the same whether it's running 100 millimeters a second or 2, and it'll just cause it to overburn, especially engraving. Now I don't know about cutting. I don't think it's not going to mess with you on cutting, but on engraving it will. It'll make the ends really really dark on engraving.
well, and on cutting it can mess it up because if it runs full power as it's slowing down into a corner, it can
Yeah,
overburn the corners. So
yeah.
it can cause problems on both.
Yes, Armory I have. Not not like publicly. What are we doing with this weird screen thing we got going on here? Oh no. There we go. Whew. All right, guys. Comments, questions, concerns, jokes about Steve, jabs at Brian. Anything? Anybody? I'm gonna have to go to bed early tonight. I got a doctor's appointment in the morning. I can't stay up all night with you guys, much as I'd love to.
I just have to go to work.
I can't go to work tomorrow until they get me on something that's work safe that I can work with. There's certain things, Steve, that doing what I do, you can't have in your system and actually work.
Yep.
Something goes south that wouldn't look good in court.
So I, the the trip that I made this spring where I came down and saw you, the my friends are already asking about doing that again,
Yeah.
as far as going to that event. So I'm kind of looking into that if that's a possibility. Unfortunately, there is a work conference that's happening that same week that I maybe should go to, but we'll see.
Hey, check it out. Appreciate you, Brian.
Ah,
Appreciate you,
yeah,
Brian.
yeah.
But yeah, guys. Steve, do you have anything before we get too wrapped up or get ready to wrap up? Do you have anything coming that you want to share? Any videos that you've got hidden in your back pocket somewhere we don't know about?
Um, I'm trying to get back into more of my. I'm trying to get caught up on more of my project type videos as well. So been working on a few things. There's this thing back here that's going to be part of one. I don't know.
Your yard spider.
Yeah, your average garden size spider.
Yeah.
So now this is not my file by any means. Honestly, I have no idea who originally created this because this same file is out there in so many places. But at the request of some, I needed to create some Halloween decorations. So I'm trying to come up with a
Yeah.
few things like that to just not not that necessarily I'm making them all, but more of like, hey, here's a few ideas for Halloween season and such,
Yeah.
and yeah, I gotta start looking at a lot of gift stuff for some Christmas kind of things coming up. So it's got to hopefully be more content, project content. I do have a few things to work on. I have a let's see, yeah, I just finished the F1 laser, and I'm trying to think on equipment what I'm behind on.
Yeah.
I may have another atom stack and rotary thing coming out. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see from there. I do
Cool.
have some projects though. I know someone was asking earlier. I do have some CNC based projects, as well as a couple where I'm hoping to kind of mix, start out with a project on the CNC and then move it over to the laser to finish it off. So
I've got a
those will
couple of
be,
those.
yeah, those are kind of fun as well too. Where it's kind of, the thing is you can do similar operations or sometimes the same operations with each machine, but um, sometimes one does it better than the other. So kind of working out that flow of what you have, which machine does what, can be kind of nice. So
Yeah. Brian, what did I do? This is another Brian, by the way. When I do events, I carry a handful of cutting boards and stuff, but typically, if people can't put it in their pocket at an event and walk around with it, they're probably not going to buy it from you unless you're on their way out. So I stick with small stuff that'll fit in their pocket or their purse, that's customized that they can't find anywhere else, and that's what I sell. Because people, especially at an event where there's like 300 vendors and you're the first one they stopped at, they're really reluctant to try to buy a big charcuterie board or something like that unless you're on the way out. Now I have had people tell me, "Hey, I'm gonna come back by and buy that. Here's the money. I'm just put it under your table and I'll pick it up on my way out." But the small pocket-sized, quick, customized stuff that they can't get anywhere else, that's where the money's at, in my opinion.
that being said, though, if you do have a larger item that kind of showcases your skills, abilities, or what you can do, it never hurts to display it because that those are the referral after the show
Yeah,
things that sometimes really make you the money than the small ones and twosy things that are making you a couple bucks each. Someone sees that, they take your card, their wheels start spinning, they call you, and now you got a big custom order. So
yeah. Now I've got a little tote that's got probably 10 in it that I take with
yeah.
me, but I don't. I'm not going to haul them around.
Well, that's
The
what
whole
I'm saying is that
inventory.
sometimes you bring one or two of them, even if without the intention of selling them, but they're just your display piece that says, "Hey, and I can
Yeah,
do this type of work as well." So
yeah. Yeah, like I said, I have one table that has the large stuff on it that's just kind of set up for display, and I keep the rest. I keep maybe one or two out, leave the rest in the trailer. If those sell, then I restock from the trailer. And but small stuff to me, I mean, it's just money wise. I find that the small stuff gives me a little bang for my buck. But we'll see. Let's see what else we got here.
Yeah, Hobo, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing as far as the CNC control with Lightburn. I do have VCarve Pro, so I kind of have that as a pretty good piece of software to use with it. But in trying to help others learn a new skill or get into it, and they're used to Lightburn, they might want to kind of stick in that environment, and especially if the cost is kind of along the way that Lightburn goes. Um, I imagine it to cost less than those. But VCarve is, yeah, it's an investment, but it definitely is a very nice piece of software.
Mark, I don't know. You can put names in the chat. I don't know what you're talking about on that, but yeah, you can text. You can't put links because I don't want spam bots in here. But you can put names. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
But y'all hurry up with questions if you're gonna do them now. I can't be here long.
Yeah, as Chris said, it sounds like the Lightburn CNC solution is going to be a completely separate product, but hopefully they continue along with their more hobbyist friendly pricing structure than others. So let's see what else. Yeah. Also, Chris, I people ask me why they make it so big. And I said, well, it's just for my Australian friends, so they feel like it's normal sized.
Had to step to the door for a minute. Sorry about that. I don't know.
There's a
Names.
question.
I was gonna say names generally don't have a problem.
Jack's asking on Enclosure if the bed moves up and down.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, you've got a good video on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shows the setup. You're using basically a sit stand desk kind of frame or lifting
Yep.
mechanism. So
Yeah, hang on. Hang on. I got a camera. Pull it up here. I can show you right quick. There we go. All right, let me go power it up here. And there it is. And yes, I have a chuck and rotary and all that stuff underneath there. So yeah, that's what it does. And then when I get ready to come back up, I just raise it back up.
yeah.
It is very handy. Very handy. No paint buckets, rolls of paint, rolls of tape, or anything
Hey, you're supposed
needed.
to use soup. Supposed to use soup cans.
No, I don't need all that. I just hit the button.
Todd's asking, are all files adjustable for the size of wood? Not easily. Some of them, if they are just straightforward slots and tabs and they've done their work right, yes, you can use the Lightburn tool to adjust those as long as they're fairly uniform. It really depends on how good of a initial drawing the person did. But if they've got kind of anything fancier, and also, depending on the geometry, if you have a slot in the middle piece of wood, it's going to try to just bring it in towards the middle. But if you need your inside or your outside line to stay stationary and it to expand one way or the other, Lightburn doesn't have a way of doing that yet. It just defaults to trying to bring the whole thing in. So it's kind of a little hit or miss on how well that works using that Lightburn tool. Now, if you're using a project such as Fusion 360 and you design it using parametric and relational modeling, then yes, you can just type in, make this piece this thickness instead, and it'll make all the adjustments for you. But you kind of have to use that tool and use that design in mind. So,
what was that word you used? What? Uh,
Parametric
and what?
and relational modeling. It's where you what?
All them big words.
Uh-huh. Anyway, I mean, technically, if you're good with design work, you technically could adjust any project to a different size material, but any tools that do it automatically are going to be, generally hit or miss.
All right, I just dropped the link to the laser engraving community page. Somebody was asking me about my plans for EnclosureZilla. There are two sets of plans in the downloads or files section of that Facebook page that are free to do whatever you want to with it. But don't be messaging me asking me 1,000 questions because I put the most information I could in there. But it does require to do this does require a certain level of redneck ingenuity. So you're gonna need to kind of improvise a little bit, but you should get the basic understanding looking at the the blueprints that I did. And I put a lot of work into that, so don't make fun of them. Yeah.
So you just want us to be nice to you.
Hey, I'm just saying, don't. I'm just saying, be gentle. I don't know anything about parametric coagulation, whatever stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just a redneck with some tools. That's it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have it a while ago. I'm sorry. You started throwing in big words out of there, and I was just like, what? Oh,
Yeah. Well, it's you get into fancy operations with the software, you're going to need some bigger words. But hey, at least they're pronounceable, other than these scientific element and
yeah,
chemical names.
yeah. Oh, but yeah, I've did a video of most of my stuff, Jeff. Now, as far as non-laser tech things, I don't know if I went over some of that, but that's a rabbit hole of itself. There, I mean, you go to events. There's people do all kinds of different setups. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation on that is your first event, don't vend at. Go attend one and see what people are selling, see what's working well, see how their setup is. I mean, don't be like creepy about it and they're taking pictures and such, but just kind of mentally see how other people are doing it. And if you know anybody that does it, talk with them. But then as you kind of go into it, you got to understand that your first one, two, or three are really going to be learning what works for you, and you're going
oh
to
yeah,
forget things, and you're going to learn like, oh, I should have some small paper bags for these things to offer the customers as well. So, um, yeah, but yeah, I think that might not be a bad. You could probably do like the top 5, top 10 things that you might not think about
yeah.
when doing your first show or something like that.
Yeah. Well, see, I do have a lot of problem with multiple real time orders because I'll be over there burning a keychain or something like that. Somebody else will walk up. I try to make sure if somebody walks by and looks my direction, I try to engage them. Typically, if I'm making stuff, I'm not able to do that. So that's where having somebody like Brandy there to help or Klein there to help, bring up that engagement with the customer and draw them in. That's where that helps. First couple of events I did by myself, and I saw that was where I was lacking was engagement with people as they walked by. And so I started trying to get Brandy to come with me or Klein to come with me. And Klein enjoys because basically I tell Klein, hey, come along, bring some of your stuff. If you sell it, you're making money. You can use all of my infrastructure as far as payment methods and blah, blah, everything. And I'll just give you the money that you sell your stuff for. And so I wind up getting help, and he learns, how to do it and how to talk to people and everything, get them brought in. So that might be something we can sit down and do. But
Yeah,
I'll have to
that
look at it.
that's probably one of the biggest recommendations I would say as well is find someone that can help you out. Whether you gotta, pay them with lunch and something, or beg a spouse or a good friend to come along. I've done that for some of my friends, and I've had friends do that for me to just sometimes you get involved with the customer and you want someone else even to be able to just take payments or say hi, they don't need to necessarily know everything about it, but they can kind of help just keep processing so you can, not lose people while you're just dealing with one. That's probably one of the biggest things that, and plus they can help you load, unload, all that stuff, just a lot easier
Yeah.
doing it with extra set of hands and
Well,
eyes.
I will say this too. If anything else, never go to an event expecting to walk away with a big payday. Okay, you go with the goal to not lose money. That is your goal. Anything beyond that is a win, because the first few you do until you work the wrinkles out of it, that needs to be your goal. Don't lose money. Don't spend, because by the time you pay for your lunch and your gas, if you still have any money left, that's not what you want. But don't go in it with overwhelming expectations, because it's a learning curve. Nobody is going to step out on a baseball field and hit it over the fence the first try. I mean, you're just not.
Yeah.
So you just need to just be prepared to take it as a learning experience and just try to avoid spending a whole lot of money.
I recommend people think of it as, investing in, this is part of your advertising campaign. You might not be making money at the event. You're spending your
Yeah.
time and a little bit of money to get your name and your products out there. So, think of it that way,
Yes.
and think of what you need to do to make that successful. So, maybe that's having a bigger sign saying who you are and how to contact you, as well as some cards and such to take, with them so that they know how to get a hold of you and such. So,
You need to have cards, and you also, with the new generation, you need to have a QR code, because a lot of people don't want to take your business card, but they will scan your QR code and add it and subscribe, follow, like, whatever, if you have a Facebook page. And I find that I get probably more contacts off QR codes than I do actual business cards. But I have both, because your older folks are going to want a card. Your younger folks are just going to want a QR code. So you need to be prepared for whoever happens to come your way. So,
yep.
yeah, lunch, heck yeah. I think that is the most important decision of the day, is what's for lunch. So,
If you get a chance to take lunch, if you don't, that's
yeah.
probably a good thing.
Yeah, the last couple of events I went to, I got a lunch, but it was literally one chicken finger at a time sitting at my booth, because I just would reach and grab a chicken finger out from under the table and eat it when I could. But yeah, well, my setup it has all the capabilities of running everything. But Brian, I don't know, when are we going to have it? I'm probably going to be at Maymay's open house. I don't know how many of y'all know her or know of her. But I'm probably going to be there if this whole back thing gets past me. So y'all might come have a barbecue then. So we'll try to, like, in 2026, we'll try to have a get together. Like, we'll have a lunch with Steve.
Did you say 2026?
Yeah, I'm retiring in October of 2025.
Okay.
So 2026 works out good for me.
Well, that's 2.5, 3 years out. I guess we could start planning soon.
Yeah, go ahead and make it. Hey, go ahead and book us a restaurant. That way we'll have appointments, right?
I'm gonna book a restaurant 3 years out. They might not be around.
I hear you. All right, guys. I hate to run, but I've actually had fun today. I've done a lot of stuff out here in the shop, but my back is starting to tell on itself, and I got to go in the house. So, but
All right. Well, we'll get you rested up, and
oh
hopefully,
yeah,
doctors have some better news for you this week.
whew, y'all keep me in your prayers. I'm hoping so, because at this point, I've got to go forward with surgery or whatever they offer. I'm just, like I told my wife, if they put me in a wheelchair, it's going to be one of those that has tracks. So y'all just get ready. It's going to be black and white. It's going to have tracks, and it'll probably have, like, I don't know, underglow lights, a boom box. It's gonna be sharp. But I'm hoping that they get me fixed up, everything goes well, and I can get back out here in the shop a little more. So, but that's
All
all I
right.
got for you guys.
Well, everyone, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking us out. Do us a favor and hit the like button on those whichever channel you're watching, and if you got time, jump over to the other one. That just helps get the video noticed by more people, and we'll hopefully be back here next week with more fun stuff to share.
Yeah, maybe we'll have something really cool. See ya. Y'all be safe.